Did you know that during the French Revolution, the price of bread skyrocketed so much that people had to spend about 88% of their income on just bread? Imagine that. No croissants, no baguettes, just plain old bread. Ah yes, the French Revolution, a time of tumultuous change that shook the very foundations of the French society. This wasn't just a political upheaval, it was a societal transformation of epic proportions. Now, the catalyst that sparked this revolution was not a battle cry for freedom or a demand for justice. No, it was something far more basic, far more essential: bread. The French people were starving. The price of bread, a staple in their diet, had soared to unimaginable heights. Imagine spending almost all your earnings on a single loaf of bread. Not a fancy loaf, mind you. We're talking basic bare-bones bread. This economic hardship was more than just a strain, it was a death sentence for many. The people were desperate, they were hungry, and they were angry. And when people are pushed to the brink, they push back. So the seeds of revolution were sown in the fertile soil of desperation and discontent. Now that we've whet your appetite with a taste of the French Revolution, let's dive into the main course. 1789, the year everything changed. The monarchy was about to get a wake-up call. Picture this: France, the late 18th century. The nation is in the throes of economic hardship, its people simmering with discontent against the aristocracy. And in the midst of this turmoil, the Estates General is convened. This assembly, a gathering of representatives from all three estates, the clergy, the nobility, and the common people, hadn't been called together in nearly 2 centuries. It was a momentous event, a clear sign that change was on the horizon. But the convening of the Estates General was just the first step. What came next was a pivotal moment in the history of the French Revolution. The Third Estate, representing the common people, broke away from the Estates General and declared themselves the National Assembly. This was not just some administrative reshuffle, this was the common people of France, standing up and asserting their right to have a say in the governance of the nation. The formation of the National Assembly was a direct challenge to the authority of the monarchy and the aristocracy. A bold declaration that the people would no longer be sidelined, and yet, the National Assembly wasn't content to rest on its laurels. In a dramatic move, they congregated in a nearby tennis court and made a solemn oath, now known as the Tennis Court Oath. They pledged not to disband until a constitution had been established, signaling their unwavering commitment to their cause. This act was more than just symbolic. It was a clear message to the monarchy. The people were prepared to fight for their rights. These events, the convening of the Estates General, the formation of the National Assembly, and the Tennis Court Oath, these were the sparks that ignited the flame of revolution. They set the stage for the seismic changes that were about to sweep through France, changes that would reverberate through the annals of history. With the stage set, the curtains were about to rise on the revolution. On July 14, 1789, the common people of France gave the world a symbol of rebellion. Imagine the scene. Throngs of disgruntled Parisians, tired of starvation and oppression, marching towards a looming fortress prison known as the Bastille. This wasn't just a jail, it was a potent symbol of the tyranny of King Louis XVI and his out-of-touch aristocracy. The crowd was not just there to free the 7 prisoners held within the Bastille's cold, dank cells. No, this was bigger. The Bastille was a towering embodiment of royal authority, and storming it would be a striking blow against the monarchy. It was a daring move, a clear declaration of war against the established order. The day was intense, filled with the clash of steel and the roar of the crowd. When the smoke cleared, the Bastille was in the hands of the people. The fortress had fallen, and with it the first bricks of the old regime were symbolically toppled. The seizure of the Bastille wasn't just about freeing prisoners or acquiring arms. It was a powerful message to the king, to France, and to the world. The people had had enough, and they weren't going to take it anymore. The revolutionaries were ready to fight for their rights, for their freedom, for a new France. With the fall of the Bastille, the revolution was well and truly underway. With the Bastille fallen, the winds of change blew through France. Now, let's take a moment to feel that breeze, shall we? The winds were blowing away the dust of the old world, the feudal system that had kept the majority in shackles for centuries. It was a gust of liberation, a gust of equality, and oh, how it rattled the aristocracy to their core. Imagine for a moment being a commoner in France at this time. You're used to a life of labor, of servitude, but suddenly you're told that you're not just a serf anymore. You're a citizen. You're not just valuable for your work, but for your voice. That's what the abolition of feudalism meant. It wasn't just a policy change, it was a societal shift. It was the dismantling of an age-old hierarchy, the shaking off of the chains of the past. But that's not where it ended. Oh no, the winds of change were just getting started. They carried with them a parchment, a declaration. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, to be exact. Now this wasn't just any document. This was a revolutionary manifesto, a blueprint for a society based on freedom and equal rights. It was the embodiment of the ideals that had ignited the revolution. It stated, loud and clear, that men are born and remain free and equal in rights. So what did this mean for French society? Well, it was like a gust of fresh air after a long, stifling summer. It meant that every citizen, regardless of their birth or status, had the same rights. It meant the end of arbitrary arrests and the beginning of freedom of speech. It meant that power was no longer the birthright of the few, but the right of the many. It was a radical reshaping of the social order, a leap into a new era. But as the saying goes, it's always darkest before the dawn. Yes, change was in the air, but the storm was yet to come. The winds of change would soon turn into a tempest, a reign of terror that would shake France to its very core. But that's a story for another time. For now, let's bask in the breeze of revolution, and remember the dawn that followed the darkness. From 1793 to 1794, France was gripped by a period so brutal, it was aptly named the Reign of Terror. This was a time when the French Revolution took a dark and bloody turn. The Reign of Terror was characterized by radical political measures and mass executions. The Committee of Public Safety, led by Maximilien Robespierre, held the reins of this reign. Their mission was to protect the newly formed republic against foreign attacks and internal rebellion. But their method? Fear, intimidation, and the guillotine. The guillotine, that infamous symbol of the French Revolution, worked overtime during this period. It was the main instrument of the revolutionary justice, and it showed no mercy. It was a time when the streets of Paris ran red with the blood of those deemed enemies of the revolution. Among the thousands who met their end at the blade of the guillotine were King Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette. The monarchy, which had ruled France for centuries, was no more. Their execution marked the end of an era and sent a chilling message to the rest of Europe. The French Revolution was not a simple uprising, it was a complete upheaval of the social and political order. Aside from the mass executions, the Reign of Terror was also marked by extreme measures. The revolutionary government seized property, suppressed dissent, and even attempted to de-Christianize France, replacing the Catholic Church with a new cult of reason. The old ways were being dismantled, piece by piece, in the name of liberty, equality, and fraternity. But as the saying goes, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The Reign of Terror, initially seen as a necessary evil, soon spiraled out of control. Robespierre and his committee began targeting not just the enemies of the revolution but also those who they perceived as not being enthusiastic enough about their cause. In the end, the Reign of Terror consumed itself. Robespierre fell from power and met the same fate he had condemned so many others to. He was guillotined in July 1794. This marked the end of the Reign of Terror, but it was not the end of the French Revolution. In the wake of the Reign of Terror, a new power was on the rise. As the dust of the revolution settled, a new figure emerged on the horizon. This figure was none other than Napoleon Bonaparte, a man whose mark on history is undeniable. After the Reign of Terror, France was in desperate need of stability and leadership. Napoleon, a military genius and charismatic leader, stepped into this void with remarkable ease. He seized power in a coup d'état in 1799, ending France's tumultuous decade of revolution and starting a new chapter known as the Napoleonic era. Napoleon's reign brought about significant changes, including the Napoleonic Code, a civil law code that influenced many legal systems worldwide. His military campaigns across Europe earned him a reputation as a formidable foe. However, his ambition eventually led to his downfall and exile. Yet his legacy lives on, a testament to his impact on history. And that, my friends, is a whirlwind tour of the French Revolution, an era of turmoil, change, and the rise of one of history's most famous